find your passion. If I'm passionate about it, then I'm going to get to where I want to get to. How do I know this? Because I was the same kid with the same skill set and the same that I was going to be an NHL hockey player, that I grew up across the border from Detroit. So I had a vested interest watching this team since I was a little kid. So you find your passion and you find people around to support your passion, or you just got to know that it's worth putting it all out there for.
Bam! For the listeners out there, you know, we're nationwide, worldwide, but for the local Detroit folks, you're a hero. You're a hometown hero because you have fought for the Red Wings. You've been a part of Detroit. You're still here after all your years at with the Detroit Red Wings. You won 4 cups. You're known as the enforcer, the brawler. You fought for your teammates. You fought for what you believed in. For those listening out there, you're going to have to Google. You can see the fight with the Colorado Avalanche. Not once, but twice there was huge fights where the goalies went and met in the middle. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute as well. But you know, here on the True Underdog, we want to talk about that part of your life, and then we want to talk about what you've done since then. And there's been some ups and downs, and you've had to overcome a lot of things with, you know, drug addiction, depression, things that you had to overcome outside of playing hockey. And then here you are, we were talking, you are full of energy, you know, full of happiness, excited about what you're doing. So let's jump right in. We'll talk about hockey first. You joined the Red Wings early on, and you came on and you were an enforcer. And when you first joined the team, was the team very good at that time?
They were getting there. I mean, unfortunately, it was in that, like, when I say, and first, let me just say, Jayson, I'm a big fan of yours because of what you do, and it's somebody that I look up to in this community that I always say, I'm going to throw it right here because you're like me, that you'll say it once and do it twice. And it's about, so right now, for you to say that, I love life and I love finding and letting people know, hey, you know what, these are the good people. Don't tell me what, tell me who. So getting back to the hockey question, when I came in 93, like, you got to look at it now. Okay, if you're a Detroit Red Wing fan, we're building where the team is because Steve Eisman, but we're years in the making, right? This is the beginning of the suck. The next suck, right, is when you climb the mountain and you think you're supposed to win and then you can't get there, like us. So I got there in the beginning of climbing the mountain. Now, the year before I got there, they lost the first round to Toronto. The year that I played, which was Scotty Bowman's first year in 93, 94, we won the President's Trophy, which means you set the league, the best record in the league, number 1, but we lost to San Jose. So was that a round 1 loss too? I think it was. Yeah, another round 1 loss, right? Like, that's a game. And then, so as you're revamping, then your second year, which is a lockout year, but you play half the season and you go to the finals, boom, against Jersey, and you're expected to win, and then you get swept, you get embarrassed. And then what was that feeling like, first of all? Let's go there. Oh, it sucked. Yeah. You have the best record, you're the best team out there, you get swept. Well, it's not even that, because it's the psychology of getting over the hump. It's like life. You know, the one thing, as we're talking about, is about never giving up. If you never quit, then you're always in the game, right? And no matter, that's the one thing, is that I realize it because I've been to the ends and the worst of the worst, and you know, I've been opposite. I've lived it, right? And my goal is so that nobody has to go where I've been, because I don't think they'll ever come. I don't think they have the strength to come back. Not saying anything, but it's just the way that I'm built. So you have so much heart. You have so much fight. You said don't quit. No. You didn't quit on the hockey, rink. You don't quit in life. You've had some things thrown at you. That's why I think that we have this energy together, because it's that heart of, we're not going to be told no, and we're not going to quit no matter what. And here's the honesty of it, Jayson, that we've thought about it. Yeah. It's crossed our minds. We're not inhuman like that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to putting the, pedal to the metal, who we kidding? We're not going to, because we'll have that pity party with ourselves, and then we'll get to the point and go, who are you kidding? Now it's just like, how am I going to fight back? And so the thing is, I'm done fighting, right? Now it's about corralling to the people. And I always say this, is I'm here for anybody that, what do you mean by that, has questions. I'll sit here till the cows come home if you're willing to do the work, but I'm not here to argue. That's when you get to Google me to find out what happens when you argue. Well, let me ask you this. Leadership. Scotty Bowman is there, right? And he loses the first 2
playoff series. You lose the first series, and then he loses in the Stanley Cup. What kind of leadership skill not only did you pick up from him, but the rest of the team to bring you guys together? Because I truly believe that, and you said it earlier, it starts at the top, right? And when you have great leadership, it makes everybody else empowered to do what they need to do. What was that like playing with him early on, and how he may have overcome some adversity as you guys started winning?
Well, I think it's a learned process, and it's the success. And I believe this from my experience is that losing is the greatest teacher, right? So, for example, I think that if we would have won that first one, we probably would have maybe won another one, but I don't think I'm sitting here with 4 cups right now. But it's the journey there, because that wasn't the worst losing in the finals. It was the next year when we set the league record, 62 wins. And then we lost in the conference finals to Colorado in the game that the centerman of the grind line, which is me, Kirk Maltby, Chris Draper, and Joey Kosher. There's actually 4 of us on the line. It's a long story, but gets hit from behind by the biggest villain, not just on their team and Colorado's team, biggest villain in the NHL, most hated player, Claude Lemieux. Hits Chris Draper right in front of him, breaks his jaw in 4 places, crushes his orbital bone. We go on to lose game 6. We're out.
What was that like? Because, I mean, we all know, well, some of the viewers and listeners know what happened after that. But what was that feeling like, not only to lose, but to have, I'll call it a cheap shot. You don't have to. I'll call it that way.
No, it was cheap.
Yeah, okay,
it was the ultimate cheap shot.
It is what it is then. Then we're being clear.
Oh, God.
So it was the ultimate cheap shot that fired you guys up. And it's unfortunate for Chris, but what was that like? What kind of juices did you guys get going into the next season?
Well, here's the whole thing. Like you said, you got time. This happens in May. And the one thing that I was the one who got Chris Draper out of the hospital, and I said,
took it personally then?
Absolutely. I said, don't worry. Then the only thing that was ever said between anybody on the team or any time was me saying to him, don't worry, I'll take care of it. But then you have to think about it. And as the season goes on, right, you come back, then you know that we got to beat Colorado, and we lose to them 3 times because you only play them 4 times during the season, which leads up to the March 26th game, which amplifies the fact that, like anything else in life, you're going to come up against, the odds, and you're going to be the underdog, and it's going to be, something that the only way out is through. And it's rivals. It doesn't matter. There's rivals all over high school. When we're talking
nothing
sports,
like this, though. This was next level.
But this is at the highest stage and the greatest thing. And you can watch from 96 to 02, the rivalry. But then it leads into this March 26th game at the Joe, and the way that it played out, but we had to win that game.
Did you go into that game thinking a fight would break out or no?
Oh, I had to think, right? And listen, this is the sick thing, is I've been thinking since the previous May, which is 10 months, how am I going to get this guy without letting it cost the team? Because we haven't beaten them. We set the league record, 62 wins out of 80 games is a lot of friggin'...
It's a high percentage.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So when they have your numbers, so winning that game and the way that it played out, I was going, and how is it going to happen? So I knew when he was always on the ice. And if you watch the play, you look how it started. So Igor Larionov, right, who's all of 5'6" and 160 pounds, right, soaking wet. The only person in this world, a bigger pacifist, might be Gandhi. Right? We call him the professor. He's the elder statesman. And Peter Forsberg, one of their stars, they've been going at it. And he decides to give him a couple swats and look like puppies on Christmas morning. But I knew Lemieux was on the ice. But Adam Foote grabbed me. And then Shanny broke his arms. And I walked up, and it's what you've been thinking for. And this is where I tell everybody, do not be afraid to wish for things. Be ready for when that moment comes, because it might just be like that. And that's what Lemieux's face was. And I hit him as hard as every man, woman, child in the Wing-Wheeled Nation was behind that punch.
That's true.
And you'll appreciate this. I'm a lefty. I hit him with the right.
Oh, that's great.
So it's power. You got power in your other hand, but the fact that I hit him with the cold cock, right? Because it's right from here. Sucker punches from behind. We don't do that. Cold cock's right from the front.
Yeah, he sees it coming.
When you look right between the eye, it must have been just like one of those standoffs in the old West, But I blasted him. and then he goes down to the turtle. Now, I don't know the goalies are coming out. I don't know all the stuff's going on because I'm just concentrated on putting my fist through his skull and ripping his heart out through his nose, even though I know you can't do that. Right. Anatomically impossible. But then I saw Chris Draper. There was like church, and the light came down, and there I saw Drapes, and I went, oh, okay, eye for an eye, baby. And I took his head and I rammed it into the boards. Yes, I did. And then I did try to knee him, but I was unsuccessful. And the linesman actually even said that I was off balance. So I only got fined $2,500. I got 4 minutes for roughing.
Isn't that crazy?
And a 10-minute misconduct too, right? Which allowed me to stay in the game. And the biggest thing is we were down 5-3 going in the third period. We tied it up.
Went to overtime.
I scored the overtime winning
goal.
Right. And at that moment, in Wing Wheel Nation, not just in the building, in the city, in the state, in the country, in the world, in the universe, right? It was that proverbial moment where we all felt
the release.
It's going to be okay. I don't know what it means. It's going to be okay. And Brendan Shanahan says in the Russian 5, right, when we faced Colorado in the conference finals that year, that game gave us such a psychological advantage, right? Not because we just beat the living dog crap out of Lemieux. And the whole thing is, right, Jay, to getting back to it, why it was so personal is because in life and in sports, bad things happen, but you cannot lose respect for a fellow human being. Claude Lemieux said you never would have heard of Chris Draper. He's not sorry and was just an arsehole about it. Right?
That's what the listeners need to know. It wasn't like it was normal like hockey. No. It was a cheap shot. You went on record many times saying, I would like him to apologize. We want him to apologize. It was wrong. Right? But he didn't want to. He kept saying nobody had heard from him. I'm not saying sorry for anything.
No, it was just the way he reacted. Guys. Well, that's just in life because I don't know. The end result, if that happened to me in my real life, right? Not playing this and inside, well, there's consequences.
Yeah. Now, a quick word from our sponsors. Everyone has a role to play, and you're a great hockey player. You scored the winning goal, but you weren't the fastest on the team. You weren't you didn't have the most points on the team. You weren't the best defenseman on the team, but what you brought was that heart. You brought that fight. You brought that mentality. You were the enforcer. You were the one defending your team to the wit's end to make sure you guys were in position to win, correct?
So everybody has a role.
That's right.
Cog in the wheel. Be the best cog in the wheel. You can be like me. Be a 4-time Stanley Cup bling, bling, bling cog like you look at
Dennis Rodman was like that. He couldn't shoot a three-pointer free throw. But
who cares about everyone's find your role in life. Find out your passion.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole thing is that, you know, hockey was always the only thing I wanted to do, to be. I knew what I was to everybody else. And it took me through the ups and downs, alcohol addiction and, you know, marriages and bankruptcies and just not knowing who I was to find myself to almost dying because of alcohol. And I was 70 pounds heavier and organs were going to blow up and stuff, but, you know, be able to fight. And that's where my passion changed to cannabis as far as because it saved my life. And through the caregivers and the compassion of the few friends that I had around me that really cared about Darren was able to start to fight. So I just celebrated 5 years sobriety.
Congrats. You know, and that's awesome.
From pills and alcohol and any other thing other than the plant I put in my body.
But you decided to quit everything. You decided to go clean and you never quit on that. 5 years in, right?
Well, but I tried it so many different times, right? And that's why I tell everybody, listen, I live by the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been to 4 rehabs. I have $1 million worth of therapy in here. I apply what I've learned now to what I do, except, guys, my program has a garden. That's it. Because of the education, like I would tell everybody, listen, if you don't want me to argue and tell you how bad you are for what you did between 95 and 2015 for 20 years as far as pushing pharmaceuticals and all the stuff and the destruction you've done into the heroin. I'm not even going to go there because the education's here now of why that's bad and why cannabis is good. So let's get beyond that and let's help people and give them the option, because that's the whole thing. Do you know you have an option? My role is to say, do you know you have an option? You tell me yes, I move on. The minute you tell me no, I start with Well, you have an endocannabinoid
Yeah.
system, that everything with a spine, and it's a food processor. And, you know, so it's just that, what do you mean by that mentality? And why? Because I've surrounded myself. So the Darren McCarty brand, licensed by Pincana, because it's the same thing in I'm surrounding myself with the people, the like-minded that want to help people. It's just like, you want to help people in your way, I want to help people in mine. And it just so happens that ours seems to coincide, and we like to do it through people. Because here's the one thing, is I do Grind Time with Darren McCarty, which I know that you will be a guest on when I get it back up. It's this face-to-face, right? In this COVID time, you know, I understand do everything, and I do a Wrestling with Sports podcast with a bunch of ex-baseball players and Lars Fredrickson from Rancid, which is really sick because I was a huge fan growing up, so I fanboy out on that show. But it's all about, you know, the personality and letting people know you're real. You know, I'm real. You know, what we do for a living isn't who we are.
You know what? I had Matt Prater on here not too long ago.
Oh, dude.
And Barry, right?
Yeah.
And Matt Prater's one of my best friends.
Is he really? Dude,
he's such a great
fan. Dude,
I'm
I
gonna
want
have to
him
get you guys together.
kick. Yeah.
I'll bring him to the podcast.
Dude,
but
please.
he's one that struggled with some drugs and some alcohol in Denver.
Yep.
Was sitting back on his couch without a job. Yep. And then he gets the job here in Detroit, and he's a Detroit hero for the Lions. He's, no offense to the rest of the Lions, probably the best player they've got right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And he continues to do what he does. So
it's between him and Jack Fox, the punter.
And I love Jack Fox. We're friends too. He's a great guy.
Really? I'm getting a Fox jersey.
Okay, so I'm going to have to tell those guys.
Tell Jack
get you guys
Fox that D-Mac's a huge fan.
Absolutely, because Fox is a great kid.
Dude, what a great kid.
Blowing the punts out of the water.
Dude, but that's what I'm saying, is that it's great. And that's unfortunate for Lions fans that your best players are your kickers.
But it's okay.
It's okay.
We love them.
We're fans. We're fans. They'll at least be the best.
You know, and I want to talk about, you know, post hockey. I just want to go one more time into the wars and the fight. So you had two goalies met in the middle. Who won that first goalie fight?
Oh, Vernon.
Good.
Vernon.
What about the second one?
Ozzy.
They won both of them.
Dude, here, I tell everybody.
And I know,
listen, if this goes nationwide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you're having a bad day, you can always do what I do. It could always be worse, because you could be Patrick Waugh. And I'm not saying that because I scored a hat trick on him in game one of the conference finals, and I've had a whole bunch of goals on him, right? He's a Hall of Fame goaltender, but he got his butt kicked by a 50-year-old midget cowboy, Mike Vernon, slipped the left, and then he came back to fight 12-year-old Chris Osgood, who hadn't had a fight since against his sister since he was 5 years old, lost to him too. Pretty, almost karma.
Wasn't it Hasek?
And then, but here's the thing.
Slipped. He was going to go fight him too, right?
Thank God he would have wiped Dom Zaris, I think. We were all like, thank God he stepped on the stick, but it would have been 3 goalies. But think about it in this way, where you want it. I'm a big believer in karma.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. His last game in Montreal was us when we blew him out 10-1 or whatever like this, right? Went to Colorado. His last game was game 7 that we blew him out 7-0.
Wow. So, it could be Patrick Waugh. That could be worse. You're right.
See, it's always a positive.
You know what? So you have this mentality. I call it the Rocky mentality, right? You love the underdog role. You love fighting with your heart. You love being passionate. I use passion. It's my favorite word. Passion is what gets people that maybe not have the other skill sets. Like, I didn't go to finish high school. I didn't go to college. I don't know how to run. I had to learn how to do a business, but I am the most passionate son of a bitch anybody would ever meet, right? I'm like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm doing it. You have that same passion. So like energy, it's like, wow, this guy's fired up, ready to do it. And listeners out there need to understand that when you talked about role, or you talked about the guidance of not taking shit, like, you know, this is what we're going to do. This is my mentality of never quitting. They need to understand that passion can be learned.
Yes.
It's not you're just born with passion. It's something you believe in wholeheartedly. It's not fake. It's not just a job. You believed in the Wings winning. You believed in fixing and getting back the revenge somehow of what happened to Chris Draper. You believed in winning a cup. You get a lot of athletes that it's just a job. It's just a paycheck. You can see in their performance. And a lot of people have a lot of talent, but they don't work hard. Then there's some people that might not have the same talent, but they outwork them and they have passion. I believe hard work kicks talent's ass and passion kicks, expected or, you owe me something's ass every time. You agree?
No, I think that it's something like back to that you can learn. And it's sort of like, if I want to say, it's like meditation.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, just because you want to get it, you can't get it. You got to actually be able to relax and go through it. And it takes a long time to do it. Now, there's like different skill sets that I learned about me or learned how to do through therapies and stuff and things like that. But the one thing is find your passion.
Yeah.
And if you're not passionate about it, because that's the one thing, if I'm passionate about it, then I'm going to get to where I want to get to. How do I know this? Because I was the same kid with the same skill set and the same that I would, since 8 years old, that I was going to be an NHL hockey player, that I grew up across the border from Detroit. So I had a vested interest watching this team since I was a little kid. So, you know, Steve Yzerman, to be able to watch him when I was 10 years old, and then when to score the Stanley Cup one-on-one goal and to see him look at me like, what was that? You know, like that's big too. But you find your passion and you find people around to support your passion, or you just got to know that it's worth putting it all out there for. You got to,
it's worth fighting for.
See, here's the thing. Everybody that I meet that is successful, that I respect, and I've asked the question that it comes down to it, guys, it's hard work is the only thing that gets you forward. Right? So it's like, well, why don't you work hard at something you like instead of something you don't like? And it's putting, so for me, example, I'm like an octopus. I got all different things going on because I realize is that I can push it as far as when I'm the one leading, I got to wait for everybody to catch up so I can move on to something else.
Yeah.
And then I'm not bored. And then and then I realize the symmetry, and you let the universe take over, and then it's sort of things start to come together organically with people, because good people attract better people.
That's correct.
Right? So, and that's all it is. It's just, I always use the term like mortal engines. You know, you're traveling around like a country, except we're shining the light for people to come.
Well, earlier you said, still one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to hijack it and say it's the D-Mac quote, but it's, you know, you say it once, you do it twice. And that emphasizes passion and hard work, because if you believe in something, you're going to work your ass off for it. And then before we jump in, because I want to talk about more about your podcast and your business as an entrepreneur, which is exciting. I'm an entrepreneur building a business. You're building a business. I love hearing the stories of that. But I want to, when you walk into a bar, right? Because here's my mentality, right? I'm not the fastest. I'm definitely not the biggest. I mean, I'm lucky if I'm 5'10". I claim 5'10". I think I'm 5'9".
You like drapes.
Right, there you go.
No,
right?
No, listen, anytime a guy says he's half an inch taller, he's an inch and a half shorter.
That's right. I have that problem.
So it's a Draper/Waller effect.
Yeah, my wife likes to say I have short man syndrome. I don't think that's it, right? I didn't play hockey, but I've been in a lot of fights.
How big's the truck you drive?
I used to have a monster truck. Now I don't.
Okay,
I got out of the truck thing.
You've grown out of that little man.
I've evolved, right? But I will tell you,
you're just a medium man now. You're medium sized.
I have a very exotic car, so maybe I have a little bit of a short man syndrome. I don't know.
Okay,
we got a Lambo out there that I a little flashy. The wife wanted me to buy.
Said 5'8".
5'7", maybe, you know. Listen, so you know, one thing
I got, the wife wanted me to buy.
Yeah, you got. She wanted me to get it. Wasn't me. Yeah, she told me to get it.
I get it. It's just like the Rocky Dennis.
That's right. Yeah, you get it. So one of the things about me though is I've never started a fight. I've never looked for a problem, but I never back down. I mean, I went to 5 high schools. I got kicked. I got tons of fights. Shit, I'm 40 years old. I got in a fight 8 years ago, right? For those who don't know, that I'm always DTF, and that's down to fight, right? I'm always down for that. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm passionate. It's how I am. You have that same mentality. So let me ask you, brother to brother, you walk into a bar, right? And you're not looking for any problems, but there's people looking at you wrong, chopping their lips, saying some shit. What is going? Are you like? Because I walk in, I'm like, I don't give a fuck how big they are. I'm ready. Let's go. Do you have that same mentality?
No, man. Doesn't happen. The connection or whatever. And plus, I don't know if they want to deal with who I hang out with, because I won't even find out. That I got eyes around. I surround myself, and you know, the bar's not the place. You're gonna
not the bar. I'm saying anywhere.
If you're gonna find me, you're gonna find me at the casino.
Okay, so at a casino,
so that's my hangout.
And some things are erupting.
Yeah.
What is your mentality in there?
My mentality is to leave. Now, there's no right.
What was it like
but if it comes, but if stuff pops off, I'm not backing away, and if my guys are in it, I'm in it. I mean, that's why we put bail money aside, just for stuff case like that. It's somebody's got the bail money. And like, we don't look for a fight. We don't. And
I don't ever look for it,
I will leave,
but I'm always ready.
I will, right. But it doesn't come to that. Because I don't put myself in those positions anymore.
I don't either. At least that's what it's been 8 years.
Right.
But I had somebody come into the office.
I'd rather take a Darren McCarty brand, pucker up joint, and get in a circle and pass it around. Who wants to be friends, right? Who's going to get more?
I love that. But you have that fire inside you, correct?
Oh, dude,
never goes away.
I'll rip your throat out if you make me.
There you go. Good. I wanted to make sure someone.
A bad day.
So if someone feels the same stuff.
Yeah, no, you do, but it's sort of along the lines as you surround yourself with positive people. Well, it's honestly
positive
now
I'm 48. By the way, positive people
so
are
now
key.
I'm 48 years old. So what is my enjoyment? It ain't hanging out to the bar. I used to, dude, during my drinking days.
That's what I want to talk about.
During my drinking days, I used to hang out at the bar for open to close every day.
After hockey, what was that like? Talk about the darkness. What happened?
That's right, because you got to, let me preface this with, so had a roller coaster, and then after winning third cup and then the lockout in 04, because the salary cap came in and stuff, I got bought out and I went to Calgary for 2 years. And then I ended up back in rehab and got out. And when I came back here, because I came back, Chris Draper, my best friend, who was playing at the time, and that started because I always live by, always give it the best, so you never have to say what if. And I thought I had something left because in 08, those were my guys. Well, fast forward, I went and played in the IHL. I went and played in Grand Rapids. Wasn't promised anything. Scored a hat trick my first game there. Thought I was on the right track and was able to convince Kenny Holland and Mike Babcock that he needed me. Played 17 out of 22 playoff games. Came back the next year and ended up getting hurt coming out of Grand Rapids during the playoff time, so I didn't play in the playoffs that year. But my body was beat down, and I was just done. But I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then I got caught back in my addiction. And then I didn't have hockey was always
what kind
the
of
buffer.
Addiction?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Oh, I'm an alcoholic through and through. That's the best part about being an alcoholic. I realized I didn't have a Coke problem because of the equalizer, which I'll joke about. But it was like pills never. That was never my thing.
Because a lot of athletes struggle with taking painkillers.
You see,
right? I didn't have that issue.
No, because I had my first sport hernia surgery in 27. I grew up. Ricky Williams is a good friend of mine, and it's a similar story. We grew up, we're either a jock or a stoner. So I knew all the stoners and all the buddies and stuff, but I was under the mentality that I would never make it to the NHL if I smoked weed. So I never did until I had my first sport hernia surgery in 1999, where they're trying to give me all these pills and I'm in pain and I can't sleep and everything like that because I suffer insomnia too, which leads me to the cannabis and leads me to finding out for people that can't sleep, because now I can. And then I couldn't take the pills, so my buddy gave me some weed, and I smoked weed for the first time. My body went boom, and it was like whoa, because when you run like we do, right? Like I said, what you got on the ice, you got off the ice back.
That's right. It doesn't turn off.
And right, and even though it's permeating, because hockey always was my governor, whether it was school, it was always my motivation. It was like find the motivation. My parents would always motivate by taking it away or threatening to take it away, right? That's the whole thing. That's a great parenting out there, is find their passion, and you can use that in manipulation, whatever. They're your kids, like what you want the best for them. But it's the same sort of thing, and you get lost, and then you surround yourself with the people, right? Then you get away. Like I was the one who was running the dark away, right? I was running away from any of the light, from family, friends, whatever, go hide with the other crowd. And it wasn't until I met my wife, Cheryl, that because I didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't want to live anymore. I just didn't care. I was just like, I was almost like leaving Las Vegas, shit, like honestly. And if you're around people or you hung out in Clawson at the hideout back in the day then you can attest to it, because I was there for a good few years. And then my wife, and because she's my soulmate and my best friend, because she's the person that loves Darren and fought for Darren. Now, her being a nurse, She nursed me back sort of to health, but it took 5 years just for being around. And it's really tough, but she's my best friend.
That's good.
Regardless of anything, it doesn't matter. That's my ride or die. And she gave me the reason that I wanted to live. And it's one of those things that I said, and this, because I said this, so I spent parts of 2012 to 2018 in Florida. And when I wrote my book, My Last Fight, True Story of a Hockey Rock Star, 2012, if you read the end of the book, I was still drinking, but I was trying to get off I was only down about 6 beer a day, or just, it was to maintain not getting sick because I didn't drink, right? That's how bad it was. I didn't get sick when I drank. I got sick when I didn't drink.
Right.
That's how bad the system was. So it took me so long that November 11th, 2015, but it had taken me, I was so spiritually, mentally committed that physically with alcohol, you can die. So we needed a detox. And that's where Rick Simpson oil and cannabis and the concentrate, the detox came in. And after 7 days, when I woke up, and I was grateful because I didn't have the physical addiction, I was grateful. I was in tears. And then I got mad, Jay. Then I got mad, because I've been lied to. And it was one of those things that rise, and it was like, okay, I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to get back, because people need to know the truth. Yeah. And if this saved me, because I never want anybody, if they choose that they want out and they want to do the work, right? You have to do the work.
Now let's hear from our sponsors. What part of the cannabis helps the most for the addiction? And the reason I ask, and I talk about it sometimes, is, my brother has fought alcohol addiction his whole life, been depressed, suicidal, a lot of issues. He'll go through stunts. He'll go to a rehab, or he'll go to a place. He'll come back. And then he would get sick if he didn't drink. He would shake. He would feel sick, and then he would sneak and drink, and he would lie and drink. And it just keeps, as up to 4 months ago, doing it again. He just ran off and went to a place, said he detoxed, ran and just got married in Vegas on a whim, literally last week. Yeah, I'm going to get married.
I did that my second in 2006.
So, and but I'm always nervous for him, and hey, why don't you smoke marijuana, do something to settle you down, to get you to the path that you need to be on.
Or you don't even need to smoke it.
That's what I'm asking. What is the best solution there?
So you want to learn about the CBD, full spectrum, and the tinctures and the drops or the juices or whatever. You got to think the THC in the simplest forms for the head, the CBD, the CBN for sleep, the CBG for digestion. What CBD does is it puts hey, it's going to be all right. Right? It doesn't change things, but it slows things down a little bit. Now, when you have different issues, but you got to understand this endocannabinoid. So your system, we all have one, but it operates differently. So what you get in, and so that's why in the cannabis, don't tell me what, tell me who, because the minute, if your brother wanted somehow or whatever, we're over on this side of town, I'd say go to the CB store on 7 Mile in Livonia there, CBD store, because they're one of my who's that are one of the most knowledgeable about CBD. If you were looking for the recreational or medical, I would send you different places, but it's about the conversation, because there is a way. There's a Delta 9, right? CBD, what they have a gummy, which I got onto it because military guys had helped with their PTSD. Right. So it's whatever, but you have to do the work, and you got to be willing to change. I'm dealing with that too right now, because my brother-in-law, he's that guy in our family, and when he's good, which he is now, but getting him on that journey, and you just start that journey, and they gotta want it, and they gotta want to get better, and they gotta want it. Right now, it sounds like me in 06.
What inspiration would you give to the listeners and someone like my brother? What made you want it? You said you met your wife. Did it take that? Because I'm hopeful. My brother,
for me,
what is it that turned it around for you?
For me, you gotta believe in something.
Yeah,
I don't know what everybody's motivation is different. Me, I needed to know I have abandonment issues, right, from young. So I needed someone that I knew no matter what, it's like we all go through life. It's more the understanding.
We all have
So I wanted to fight. Yeah. So the thing is that, and in the whole scheme of things, I see the bigger picture that he was never going to let me to that point, but I had to fight. There had to be a awakening. What would I say is that if you if you want to ask, it starts with questions. It starts with what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Get yourself educated. I mean, the easiest thing is if you're looking for some sort of relief, educate yourself on your endocannabinoid system, because everything with a spine. So it's sort of like, it's a common sense. Cannabis is common sense. So what do you mean? So I put this and then I can either smoke it or tincture or grind. There's so many different ways you can do anything with it, and you get it in your body, and then your body will take it where it needs to go. Oh, this is for pain in your hip. Oh, this is for your sleep. That's why the big thing with CBNs, the CBD and all that game is where I believe that everybody needs to come in on, and then you can go from there.
So you met your wife, you got inspired, you got clean, you opened a business. How's the business going? And what was it like to get into the business field? Because you played hockey and then you kind of partied like a rock star during that, but it sounds like you were depressed and you were fighting addiction, looking for an identity. And I think this happens to a lot of people. I would be scared if I shut down tomorrow and be like, who the fuck is Jayson? What am I going to do now? That's why me, and I think you, we need so many other things to do, because it's like, how do we keep that push, that identity issue, that ADD that kicks in? When you left hockey and decided to open the business, what was that transition like? Like what was the first steps of opening it for you to learn? Because I know you asked questions, but what is it that helped you get to that point?
It's people. It's surrounding yourself with, because me, it all starts with, like, I have the Darren McCarty Slapstick Comedy Tour, Darren McCarty brand, which, there's different adaptations of that, but Grind Time with Darren McCarty is, and I call it the Grind Time family. So that's the only reason it's got my name on it is because it brings awareness. Right. But the Grind Time family is all the collecting all the people and stuff like that. So the fact that the brand, and my licensing, so the Darren McCarty brand is licensed through PinCana, the largest seed to sale recreational medical center in the state of Michigan. So I licensed my brand to them because doing the research and stuff of the people that are creating, yes, the people that are creating, and I'm hands-on. The one thing you'll find is, and the greatest compliment that I got from the people that are doing the front lines in the Michigan Normal and that is that I live, like I said, I'll tell you once and show you twice. So for me, it's not about the business, because so many things will develop. It's the people, and it's the
surround yourself with great people that think and want the same as you.
And here's the beauty, right? I'm not the provider for anybody. Everybody else has their own thing going on. This is the caveat. This is our softball team. This is our whatever else. But everybody, I'm a huge believer in win-wins. So everybody is everybody in the project is invested, right? Mentally fit, right? If it's there, so Nick's my business manager, he's sort of the umbrella, but and then the Darren McCarty brand, right? There's also the brand with the sayings that is my life every day.
So, one other thing I want to bring up also. So we've talked about the cannabis business. You used to be, or now you're starting a band again?
No, I've had a band since we started.
Let's talk about that.
Well, Grindr, it was my band, and that was even before before the app came out. And I tell everybody, I said, money, dude, got to fund the band somewhere. I mean, geez, you might as well take sponsorship, but the one thing is because Vladimir Konstantinov's accident in 98, and we put the band together to record a song to put on a charity album to raise money and stuff. And then Billy Reedy, who's played with Ty Stone and different bands, who's my lead guitarist, is just one of my best buddies for almost 30 years. And so the band, we've written a couple albums, and then James Anders passed away in 2005. And after that, I shut the band down. But because of where we're at in life and stuff and inspiration, I always found, it's a funny thing, because I wrote this song, Be Me, back in 2003, and I was in such a different place. Why can't it be what I want to be, with attitude, no apologies, without compromise? It's my life. Those lyrics back then was like a screw you sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Why can't leave me alone? Now I use it to end my comedy shows as a thank you for the people allowing me to be me and praying and all that stuff, because it does work. So it does work as long as you don't give up. And then it's wanting to do the work. And sometimes the work is to reach out for the help. And sometimes the help or the answer is something you don't hear it from the person that you need to, you hear it from somebody else.
You know, Darren, one of the messages I always try to give out to people all the time is, you know, like you said, everyone's why is different. Everyone's reason for things are different. And I believe money is a tool. I think it's needed in some cases, but it's a tool. And when people get addicted to chasing money, they're going to fail. When they let it control them, they're going to fail. But when you chase something you love, because there's teachers out there, I'm not in politics. Sometimes I wish I was, because I'd change a lot of shit, but teachers are way underpaid, but they love it, and they're impacting our youth. Cops are underpaid, this is my opinion, and you hire idiots that usually are beat up in high school, so now they're power tripping when they're cops, right? And then now you're struggling because of what they're paid, but that's their why. They want to protect and serve most. Same thing with firemen, same thing with our enlisted military. I always say, this is an example, if we got rid of the United States Postal Service, sorry guys, and we went ahead and we made teachers, cops, enlisted military, and firemen $100,000 a year to start out, and we put the requirements higher, stay with me, then you would have the people that have their why, that they want to protect and serve, or that they want to teach, or that they want to do all these things, follow that. But because the world we live in, sometimes that tool of money sways them away, because a teacher makes $30,000 a year and they're teaching our youth, or a cop makes $35,000 a year, or an enlisted serviceman in the military makes $18,000 a year. And it becomes kind of a downplay. If we were able to change the mindset and people to start chasing their why more, then I think the world would be a better place. And when you came in here, you were inspiring me, where you were like, look, I've been through hell and back, and my why is to help people. And I want to ask people not who are not where, but what, but who, right? And why. And that's important. And I think people need to understand that whether you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a cameraman, you're work at the UPS, you deliver food, whatever it is, if you love what you do and you have that why, you can recover from the dark side, but you got to find it. Agreed?
Well, I think that what you're saying there is and it doesn't matter what the number is, but the value of people chasing their why.
Yes.
So if it's the teacher, there should be, and I don't think taking it away, but there's some sort of idea that you have there is that if somebody's doing something that they're passionate about more, like it's rewarding them. So you say like the $100,000 or whatever to the $30,000. Well, you know, inflation and all that different stuff. What is their comfortability to live? Yeah. And it's not, it's saying, like I always say, what's their piece of the pie? And right now they're getting screwed. And I agree with you that, but this country, and I'm Canadian, so I'd be on your cabinet, bro, if they let me. But there's a lot of different things, but that's a conversation piece, because the fact that you bring it up, sounds to me like it should be looked into more further. Doesn't sound like a stupid idea at all. It sounds like something that needs to be looked into a little bit more.
Well,
makes sense.
Well, yeah, and you said that, you know, the why is so important. And that's one of my things too, is chase success, or chase what's filling you in. Being successful is filling what's in here.
Absolutely.
Right. And I've seen people that would have been the best teachers on the planet not do it because it couldn't provide for them and their family. That's what's disappointing, right? That's what you're saying. So we're both on the same page, where it's like, it's so unfortunate that tool, that casing of money controls some of our whys. Well, and we have to push people, the listeners, the viewers out there, to be inspired to find a why. You had no idea when you were in hockey that you were going to be in the cannabis business, or do a podcast, or write a book.
Right.
But you found things you love, and it can be more than one thing. And you converted those whys into success, where you're sharing your story, you're sharing it on the show, and people can be inspired by you.
Yeah, no, it's the connection. Yeah. You know, that's all that, you know, that I'm looking for, is that I believe that we're all more connected. But, and here's the thing, doesn't matter what you do. There's good and bad.
That's right.
In everything. I'm just looking for the good, and I want to spread it out there. Hey, this is who I mess with, and he's good, and don't go there because there's bad, or there's a story, or we have something in my inner circle that we call friends of mine, friends of ours, friends of theirs, right? And you can never move you can move forward, but you can, once you go back, you're done, right? And then the whole thing is because to separate, it's not for the friends of mine and the friends of ours. It's for the friends of ours and the friends of theirs, which means if there's somebody says, hey, that's a friend of theirs, introduction, there's a story there. Do you know that somebody's been either burned or somebody has information in their truth that they need to get out? It's my truth, because here's the thing. All I say is at the end of the day, don't lie to the person in the mirror. Right? You can lie to everybody else, but don't lie to that person, right? And it took me years and years to walk by to stop and go, I'm not dealing with you right now. And he looked back at me and said, I hope you're alive when you come back. And I was like, you're schwarmy. And we started having this conversation. Then I started doing the work, right? And so it's all about, communication and putting things right in the forefront. You're not going to catch me with something behind my back, right? Because I don't have anything back there. You're going to try that little stuff. Oh,
they know what they're getting with you every time.
Well, and you know what? And here's the one thing. It goes back to your bar walking in or whatever. It's pretty smart, because it's, if you don't want, because if you walk in and I see you looking for a fight, you probably will get a fight if that's your wish on that point. And it's not from me. It's the 4 guys bigger than me that won't allow me going, oh, what's going on? Oh, okay, just take the trash out.
Yeah, take the trash out. Well, all right, well, D-Mac, how can people find your podcast? Tell them about your book. Tell them about your foundation. Go ahead.
Yeah, so DarrenMcCarty.com or any of the blue check marks at Real Darren McCarty, Facebook, Instagram, Grind Time, DMAC25 on Twitter. Grind Time with Darren McCarty is the podcast. They're up on all Spotify's. I know the website, you can go get them. I'm also doing a Wrestling with Sports, like I mentioned, that you can catch on Spotify or join that one. That's always fun for all the wrestling fans out there. We were talking about it. You're a Rock. I'm a Stone Cold guy. That's all good.
Hulk Hogan, he's making a movie right now, is what I heard.
Is he really?
I heard there's a movie being made.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And so all the stuff like that. The Darren McCarty brand. Slapstick Comedy Tour, even though we're a little hiatus right now.
What about the cannabis business? How do they find that?
Yeah, so Pincana or the Darren McCarty brand.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you for not only sharing your story, but, making a difference out there in the community and trying to change people in the world. I appreciate that. There's not enough good people out there trying to be forward thinking to help people. So I appreciate you sharing that and being on this show.
Well, I look, it's the one thing is that we just, solidified, allies moving forward to help people, because I believe that, when one of us can do great things, 2 of us can do better things, but when we get 3, 4, 5 all for the same goal, we can really help millions. And I love your commercials, bro.
No, thank you. Commercials are done really good by Sussman Agency. So last but not least, I love how we can have a conversation where you want to put your fist through someone's skull, but we also want to help the world. Yeah. But that's the kind of characters that we are, and that's what I love most about bringing you here on the show, is that I can relate.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. Hey, dude,
I'll be on your show.
If you piss me off, right? What did you do wrong? You know what I mean? Because I get along with everybody, except I don't tolerate. Vulnerable truth with integrity is my heart virtue, which look up your heart virtue. It explains a lot, what makes you tick. So you and I, we carry a lot of the same things and want to do the same things moving forward. So awesome. This was such a pleasure, Jay.
And I'm going to get us with Prater and Fox.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Dude, because that's what, so Grind Time, it's more of like a sit-in. It's more of me and so my co-host Perry, and you're like, oh, Perry, what's he do? Fucking nothing. Perry doesn't do shit, and he's not supposed to do shit. He's just supposed to be Perry, right? But to sit around and have a talk and stuff, because it's great to be sitting around and comfortable to get to know. I want to know the why of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both those guys are good guys. You're going to love meeting them.
Good.
That's a wrap here on True Underdog. Bam! And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!